Welcome! We are here today to discuss the defining infrastructure challenge of our time, encapsulated in our report, Powering the AI Era. This report delves into the massive technological and financial shifts required to support the rapid acceleration of artificial intelligence. Our agenda today covers the critical components of this new era. We will begin with a letter from Dan Dees, followed by an analysis of the historic paradigm shift AI represents for computing. We will then focus heavily on the power imperative, discuss the geopolitical implications of data center diplomacy, and conclude with the capital solutions necessary to meet this moment. A letter from Dan Dees. In his letter, Dan Dees, co-head of Global Banking and Markets, frames the AI revolution within the context of historic technology-driven inflections, such as the railway age and the dot-com era. He stresses that while innovation sparks these eras, capital and infrastructure are essential to power them. Crucially, he notes that for AI, the most pressing bottleneck is no longer capital, but power. Global data center power demand is expected to surge 160% by 2030, and the current grid is simply not designed for this future, demanding immediate and innovative solutions. This timeline illustrates the scale of the current AI inflection point compared to previous eras. Look first at the 19th century railroads, which captured 80% of the U.S. stock market. Moving forward to the dot-com era, we saw over $800 billion invested in infrastructure. Now, focus on the present, artificial intelligence. We anticipate a 160% growth in data center power demand by 2030, requiring an estimated $5 trillion in funding for digital infrastructure and power. The capital demands and infrastructure build-out required for AI dwarf previous technological shifts. We now move into Section 1, a historic paradigm shift. AI ushers in a new era for computing. AI is fundamentally transforming the global economy at breakneck speed, creating immense opportunities but also placing unprecedented strain on existing infrastructure. Before generative AI, cloud computing relied on traditional CPUs and air cooling. Please look at the visual comparison of data center generations in the center of the page. A cloud data center 1.0 required only 5 to 15 kilowatts. Now, look at the AI factory data center on the far right. This requires over 500 kilowatts, supporting 576 GPUs, and necessitates liquid cooling. This represents a 50x increase in power requirement per rack compared to cloud equivalents 5 years ago. This exponential increase in compute density is driving hyperscalers to invest over $1 trillion in this technology by 2027. Zhang Min, Global Co-Head of Technology, Media and Telecom, Investment Banking, summarizes this scale perfectly. When we think about the scale of what's happening with AI, the cloud era offers one of the closest parallels. Cloud required an enormous build-out of computational and physical infrastructure. What did that deliver? Nearly $1 trillion of new revenue and the emergence of new companies, platforms, and applications. While training models require remote, power-hungry infrastructure, inferencing demands proximity to end users, adding complexity to data center location decisions. Now, look at the chart below tracking the demand for compute. We are seeing a staggering 4,274% growth in total tokens consumed per week, rising from 53 to over 2,300 tokens in just over a year. This explosive demand is rapidly outstripping supply, with vacancy rates near zero in sought-after markets. This pace of innovation complicates the traditional CapEx playbook, as the compute equipment inside AI data centers now costs 3 to 4 times more than the physical data center itself, creating uncertainty for lenders and investors underwriting this hardware. We are seeing innovative financing structures emerge to meet this demand. Direct your attention to the top chart showing data center CMBS and ABS issuance. Note the acceleration. Issuance has grown significantly, reaching $6.6 billion in 2024 and maintaining that pace into 2025 year to date. This packaging of stabilized data centers into bonds allows owners to replace expensive short-term construction loans with more permanent financing. Below, the diagram illustrates the 3 stages of the development life cycle. This stabilization and capital recycling phase, shown in step 3, is key. By unlocking cash from stabilized assets, developers can fund the next data center, which is crucial because the most critical obstacle for unleashing AI's potential is not capital, it is power. We now transition to Section 2, the power imperative, generational opportunities and challenges. After a decade of flat power demand, data center power usage is expected to increase 160%. This generational challenge requires coordinated, multi-layered solutions. A new era for utilities? The technologies underpinning AI are advancing at breakneck speed, a stark contrast with the U.S. power grid, whose infrastructure assets average 40 years old. Utilities face an existential dilemma: how to meet surging demand while managing aging infrastructure. Historically low power prices led to the retirement of baseload coal and nuclear plants, and now the grid lacks sufficient capacity to meet projected peak demand growth. Consequently, power companies are increasingly seeking new rate structures for large load customers, including mechanisms like upfront capital contributions and long-term capacity commitments to ensure the cost of serving these energy-intensive customers is borne by them. Tyler Miller, Global Co-Head of Power, Utilities, and Infrastructure Investment Banking, highlights a key long-term solution. Nuclear power is particularly exciting, with several developers advancing small modular reactors and fusion technologies following substantial investments in making these innovations commercially viable. That said, long lead times and high costs mean utilities, hyperscalers, and OEMs will require bespoke capital solutions and possible government support to fund and price new technology development risks. The generation of power is only half the equation. Transmission is an equally important bottleneck. Permitting and supply chain challenges mean 5 to 7 year timelines for new natural gas plants. Now, observe the chart showing more than $700 billion of grid investment expected through 2030 in the U.S. Notice the projected increase in both transmission and distribution capex, especially post-2024. This massive investment is necessary, but federal policy will be critical to relieve permitting delays and enable interregional transmission projects to move forward. This is a multi-decade problem requiring multi-layered solutions. Please review the table outlining the various power sources hyperscalers are expected to utilize. Renewables like solar and onshore wind offer a low carbon footprint but suffer from intermittency and land requirements. Reliable baseload sources like nuclear large-scale and SMRs offer small land footprints and zero carbon, but they face significant challenges related to supply chains, waste, and long lead times. The reality is that a combination of all these sources, including natural gas as a bridge fuel, will be necessary to meet the 24/7 demands of AI. Going nuclear. Goldman Sachs research estimates that 60% of data center power demand through 2030 needs to be met with new capacity. While renewables are the fastest path to incremental supply, they cannot provide the 24/7 baseload power AI demands. This is why we are seeing hyperscalers actively pursuing nuclear solutions. They are strategically avoiding development risk by utilizing forward start power purchase agreements, or PPAs, to secure reliable, zero-carbon baseload generation, a critical asset for mission-critical AI operations. The goal is to leverage nuclear's advantages while mitigating the historical risks associated with long lead times and cost overruns. Frustrated with long lead times and interconnection queues, many data center developers are pursuing an alternative strategy: going behind the meter. This involves building microgrids directly on site or locating data centers close to existing generation sources, bypassing the utility grid entirely. This significantly reduces the time required to bring a data center online. Turnkey distributed energy solutions, including solar and storage, are helping large energy users enhance reliability and manage grid constraints, demonstrating resilience as seen during the severe 2021 Texas winter storm. We now transition to Section 3, Data Center Diplomacy, a new tool for geopolitical influence. The economic, security, and military implications of AI are profound. Data centers are effectively acting as embassies in this new era, providing nations with a critical tool for strategic alliances and influence. While the U.S. remains the center of development, other regions are rapidly scaling capacity.
Look at the chart illustrating the shortfall of supply versus demand for data center capacity in the U.S. Notice that the shortfall is persistent and growing, reaching over 10 gigawatts by 2028. If the United States faces domestic bottlenecks, it must establish overflow options with global partners for training models. This need for international cooperation means that carefully planned AI infrastructure investments allow nations to leverage data centers as a geopolitical tool, strengthening alliances and asserting influence in the evolving digital economy. Finally, we move to Section 4, Meeting the Moment with Capital Solutions. AI is reshaping deal-making and capital flows, requiring an expanded universe of capital market participants to meet this unprecedented demand. The scale of funding required is staggering. Please focus on the three key figures in the center of the page. By 2030, we expect $12 trillion in capital demand for the energy transition, $3 trillion for power and utilities, and $2 trillion for digital infrastructure. The AI ecosystem is currently financed in parts, but clients need comprehensive solutions that provide certainty in capital availability and pricing. To resolve these bottlenecks, we must develop equity capital around stabilized data centers and expand the investor base by optimizing risk allocation, specifically targeting long-term capital sources like insurance companies and retirement plans. Jason Tofsky, partner Technology, Media, and Telecom Investment Banking, highlights the evolving role of the key players. From public cloud hyperscalers to emerging players in AI, hyperscalers are evolving from infrastructure consumers to enablers of capital formation. Their continued support can unlock underinvested forms of capital in digital infrastructure, such as insurance and 401ks, lowering their own cost of growth while broadening access to the AI economy. The new CapEx playbook requires leveraging the strengths of both private and public markets. Public market financing offers greater efficiency and deeper liquidity, while private markets excel in bespoke solutions. As the industry matures, we expect to see a more efficient, standardized approach to private capital deployment over time. Staying ahead in this rapidly shifting environment requires agility, perspective, and access to both pools of capital. Goldman Sachs is positioned at the fulcrum of these tectonic shifts. Our Capital Solutions Group is designed to provide holistic oversight and strategic deployment of capital across key channels.
Please look at the spotlight on high-grade structured capital solutions. This innovative approach utilizes significant, low-cost private capital from insurers and infrastructure funds to offer non-debt, non-dilutive capital to investment-grade corporates. These structures are tailored to unique situations, allowing for shared resources and lowering individual parties' risk. Our preeminent global investment banking business is built on a culture of enduring partnerships and a commitment to exceptional execution, helping clients seize new opportunities to unlock growth and transformation. Thank you for joining us today. If you found this analysis valuable, please subscribe to our channel for more expert insights.